Hello and welcome back to my channel, Craft Time by Casey. I am Casey, and today these are the two simple Coreana chain necklaces that I will be making. Most of the components came from the bargain bead box for the month of August 2024. And if you are interested in the bargain bead box, I will have all the information in the description box below. I definitely encourage you to go check them out, and when you do, you want to use my code. That code is Casey2, and that code will get you $2 off your first month's subscription or $2 off your first order from their website. So if you would like to see how these two necklaces came about, then stay tuned. I'm going to start with the tools that I will be using. I have 2 sets of chain nose pliers, 1 set of cutters, 1 set of round nose pliers, and 1 set of crimping pliers. And I want to briefly mention my tool set. It is the Casual Comfort tool set. And like the name suggests, this tool set to me is very comfortable to use. The biggest thing for me is the size. A lot of times jewelry making tools will be like this, just a little bit smaller. You see the grips are a little bit smaller as well. These Casual Comfort tools just seem to be made for adult size hands. And really, I just can't imagine using anything else. So I will have this tool set linked down below along with everything else I use in the video that did not come from the bead box. I will also link below the opening video I did for the bargain bead box, and it will have a detailed description of everything I used that came from the box. And one of the big things that came in the box is this chain. And one of the most common comments that I had on that opening video was questions about this chain and how to use it, which I know there are several videos, but I felt like I had to use it. I had to make a video using this chain. I love this type of chain. And once you learn how, you'll see it's not very difficult to use. So I already made one necklace in a similar style that I will be making today. And I know you saw it in the opening, but here it is. And I just love this chain, and I love the simplicity of it. I used the rock chip beads here, and of course the 6mm rounds. And I really love how this came out. And of course, there's the closure with the lobster clasp that came in the box. And of course, the clamshells there, closures. So I really love this design, and we'll be making one together with a similar design to this. So I want the necklace to be right around 19 to 20 inches. So the big thing for me is making sure I have the right amount of this chain to begin with. So I'm gonna make the chain itself about 19 inches. That way with the closure on the clasp and everything at the end, it will be just about exactly 20 inches. So of course it goes off the screen a little bit, but when I pulled it over, you can see it here. I'm gonna cut this chain right about here. And this is very thin, very fine chain, so you don't necessarily need to use your industrial cutters. Your jewelry making cutters will work just fine. And of course I have my ruler here, but I always like having a ruler like this on hand. And it, just because it's obviously longer, but it's also malleable, really nice, and it retracts very easy. So I already have my design here. And the biggest part of the design is just kind of creating whatever design that you want. I really like these 8mm beads that came in the box, and I sort of built my design around those. So I'll go ahead and put those beads on the chain, and then I will show you how I keep those beads in the center. If you see here, the beads do not move on the chain. They stay here. Well, I should say, they move, but just barely. I have these here on the end of either side so that design stays here in the front. And I'll show you how we do that. All right, so here is my very simple design. I love these neutral tones. One thing I did do is I used one of the bails, as you can see there, right there in the center. And we'll have a component kind of dangling off there at the end, but here is the simple design. So here's how I get it to stay in the center. So first things first, I want to make sure it is centered. So I want to measure the chain on either side. So I kind of scooted it over so you could see one full side here. And right now on this side, it's just over 7 inches. And on the other side, you can see here, it's about 7.5. So it needs to be scooted over just a smidgen. All right, and that gets it about even. So I'm using one of the crimp tubes that came in the box. I'm gonna go ahead and put it on one end. And once I get it in the spot that I want it, I know it's very small right here. And one big thing for me, you don't want it right next to the beads. For me, you want the beads to have a little bit of mobility, not a lot, but for this design that I chose, you don't want them to be completely stuck together. Again, if you look at this one here, there's a little bit of movement in here. So the beads can move, but not much. So when I put these on the end, I didn't put it, like if I put them all down this side, there's about that much room on either side. So that way there's a little bit of flexibility. So I have it where I want it to be, and I'm going to pick up the whole thing, which makes the beads move a little bit, but that's okay because I'm holding that where I want it to be. And I'm gonna go in with my crimping pliers into the second divot and give it a good smash. You get that taco shape. Let me zoom in a little bit. Get that taco shape just like that. And I'm gonna turn it on its side. Go in with that first divot. Give it another smash. Just like that. And then I'm gonna go in with that flat part on the end and give it the final smash. Just to get it nice and snug. So now, when you touch that crimp bead, it's not moving. And you can leave just the crimp bead. It's small enough for the design that it will hold the beads in place, as you can see right here. So if you just wanted to leave that crimp bead, I think that looks good on its own. I am going to put a crimp cover on it. Let me zoom back out. I am gonna put a crimp cover on it. So on either side, it looks like the first bead. So I pull out a crimp cover and I'm gonna put it right on top. I zoomed back in a little bit. So I take a crimp cover, and I know it's very small, but the crimp tube is right there. So I'm gonna put it on there and then flip it up just like that. And I'll go in with my flat nose pliers, give it a gentle smash. And then I'm gonna go front to back on that crimp cover. I wanna give it that round shape. Just like that. So that crimp cover gives the perception of the first bead. And it is in place. So it is fixed on this chain so that it won't slide. So now we can slide the others down, and we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. And the biggest thing I wanna say about doing the other side is that you don't wanna, like I said, kind of smash it up right against it. Now, of course, obviously, if you're making your own necklace, you can make it any way you want. But for the design I chose, I'm going to move it out less than 1/4 of an inch, just a little bit, so that there is a little bit of movement. Not much, but just a little bit. And then I kind of hold it like this on the other side. So the beads are right there this time because they're held in place with the other one. But I have just a little bit of space there. And I'm gonna close it off the same way. And there it is on this side. Gives that illusion of the first bead. And now the beads are held in place. Let me zoom back out. So there it is. There's that design right in the front. So now I'll show you how to put the closure on one side, and they are put on either side the same way. So you always want to start with the clamshell. If you put the crimp bead on the end without putting this on first, you'll have to cut it off because you can't fit the purpose of these is you can't fit it over the crimp bead. So make sure you put the clamshell on first. Just put it right there through the center of it, and you can kind of let it fall for now. You want to get another crimp bead, and for this one you're going to put it pretty close to the edge and get your crimping pliers. Go into that second divot. Give it a good smash in that taco shape. Turn it. Go into that first divot. Give it another smash. And then final smash, flat part on the end. Just like that. So now it's held in place really good. Pull that clamshell back to the end. And as you can see, it looks like I left just a little too much there on the end. So I'm going to trim it a little bit. Not much, just trim it just a little. Just like that. Pull that clamshell. It'll stop on that crimp bead, and then you pinch it closed. Just like that. So I have a 4mm jump ring here. Gonna open it and put it through both sides of the loop on that clamshell, and then go ahead and put on that lobster clasp and close it. So there's one side of it. You do the other side the same way, but instead of the lobster clasp, you're going to end with that 6mm jump ring. All right, so here is the other side. Again, done the same way. You just have that 6mm jump ring on the end. So we can go ahead and close it. And there it is. So now we're going to quickly make that component that goes right in the center. So I have a ball end pin. And I have a simple design, just like matches the design that's on here. So just like that, I'm gonna put that on my finger this way, hold the beads, take my round nose pliers just above that top bead, just like that, bend it back with my fingers like that. Makes the start of a really nice loop. Go in there with my cutters, and I'll put it on the bail just like that. And then go in there with my round nose pliers and curl it closed. Just like that. And there's the component right off the front. And the entire piece. So now I'm gonna set both of these up on my display so we can see them a little better. All right, so here they are, and I absolutely love it. I love how almost dainty the chain is, and it's very simple, very fine, and it really makes the beads in the front kind of stand out. I just think it's so pretty. And I like all the different options that you have, where you can put the crimp covers on it like I did. You could leave it with just the crimp beads, or you don't really have to keep it there in the front. You can, have more beads on it if you like. I just like the idea of kind of keeping them down where they don't slide around and the design kind of stays together. But there are definitely many options with using this chain. And of course, the clasp closure in the back. Like I said, once you learn the techniques of using this chain, it becomes just a beautiful, beautiful design. And I love how simple it is to put it together. So once again, if you are interested in the bargain bead box, I will have all the information in the description box below. And just make sure when you go check them out, you use my code. That code is Casey2, and that code will get you $2 off your first month subscription or $2 off your first order from their website. So if you like this video and you want to see other videos just like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below and give me a like. Leave a comment. I absolutely love reading my comments. You guys are so kind, and I definitely look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye.